Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Boring Old Man Trying to Explain Some Rules. So, without further ado, I'll go ahead and explain what I'm trying to do today. So, we are looking into the game Run, but specifically the Villains and Vigilance expansion. In this expansion, it's quite a unique and fun experience where if you incorporate this into the base game, you take the run game to the next level and start introducing some strategy into it. So what I mean by that is, of course, you're going to have your base game, and you're going to have your discovery deck, which give you some cards and some light mechanisms to reduce some of that luck element and to change some of the rolls of the dice outcome. But the base game is intended to be, and carries itself well, as a simple and light game. So when you add an element of the expansion in, all we're really doing is adding an additional round. So you can break it down to a simple form of just adding another round. And to explain that, let's go into the rules real quick. So for the base game, you have, of course, in the center of starting play, when you open the rule book, on the very back actually, in the fold, you're going to see what you do to set the game up. Of course, you're going to sort and shuffle the cards in their respective decks. In TableTopia, as you're seeing on the screen, we've already done that for you. And each player then randomly draws a character card. We have already done that again in this particular setup to avoid that process in TableTopia. And then you're going to randomly draw and select one imminent peril card. The same setup that you're always going to see. So with the start of play, it follows in the base game very simply the player's round, where you're going to draw a card from the discovery deck and then move. Any play instantly cards you're going to resolve at the time. And it should be noted out that these play instantly cards and discovery deck cards are expendable gear. They are single-use cards. Some might have a perpetual or a multi-round effect, but they are single-use. And you always will enact the expendable gear card first. So you will not roll on an expendable gear card and then use that same roll for your movement. There's going to be a separate roll if it's requiring any dice movement there. So just to clear that up just a little bit, hopefully. And then again, they can be used at any time on any entity, which defining entity can be either an ally, otherwise known as a player, or the peril. And it's important that we distinguish that for entities, because some cards, when they can be used on the peril, you can speed or slow the peril's advance or do something to impact not just players on the board, but also anything on the board. So it's an important distinction to keep in mind. Moving along there, the rules when you introduce the Villains and Vigilance expansion are not too much more complicated. So we're going to try to keep things simple. So in the expansion, you have a card that's in the tuck box where you have two new characters and two new perils. Now, we're not going to use the perils or the characters in the expansion for today, just for ease and not complicating things further, because I want you to get a good understanding of the base of the game. And you can add those in as you feel more comfortable. So again, each thing starts with a separation. You have some rules and tracker cards, which we will see right up in the top left corner. So these tracker cards, you have one card's got a front and back for hit points. This helps you track the villain's hit points when you do calculate their values there. And trackers here for ally adjustments and villain adjustments. So as you go throughout the game, you're going to find that there might be some penalties or some victory protocol that give you either a buff or a detriment to your stats in the next round. So keep that in mind. As you sort those out, you're going to remove those from the deck. Then you have the armament cards, these weapon cards. These weapon cards are sitting right over here. And when you see your card deck, you'll see the armament cards in the back of the card. So they're very clearly outlined of what they are. You want to separate those because they're going to be a separate deck of play. Then the rest remain the villains and vigilance deck. So this is going to include the enemies, the villains in this case, and all the items to help you with the battle modifiers. So all those items there in the talismans are going to be in one single deck to be discovered upon drawing. So once entering that expansion, you're going to want to review the how to play and how to battle cards. Now what you're going to see there is this how to play right here on the left side. So you're going to start by arming your character. So each person on the board, each player is going to draw one weapon card. Then in turn order after concluding the chase round. So again, the base game has the play round and the chase round. So once the chase round is completed, you're going to enter the battle round. And when you're going to draw in turn order a villains and vigilance card. So you might draw a battle modifier, you may draw a talisman, or you may draw an enemy. So we will hopefully run across a good example of that as we enter the play. So equipping talismans was discovered. So you can equip them to any ally, but once they're equipped, they must remain on that ally. Then you're going to have the store and use battle modifiers. Battle modifiers you can store up to 3 and trade at any time, just like the expendable gear cards. But it's important to note these are usable anytime, only during battle. So you cannot use these cards during the normal play around or chase rounds. Because again, keep it simple. This is a separate round altogether, so it's going to have its own assets within that round. And then you're going to engage villains upon discovery. So as is pointed out here, the discoverer, whomever draws the card, attacks first, and then followed in turn order by each active ally. Each ally is going to attack one time. They're going to have one chance to attack. If the villain is not defeated by the allies in one round, the villain wins, and you're defeated. If, however, you are able to overcome the villain, then you have the win, and you'll get the rewards for that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. It might help to just explain it to play it. So I've got my one player here. We're going to give him a weapon card because we are playing this game, of course. Now you can draw or you can choose. Here I'm just going to go ahead and run with whatever we get, and I'm going to equip them. So you can see the armament card's going to go ahead and arm the space, and then I'm going to end my turn so we can go to the next individual. Getting back over to the armament cards, draw another, and we're going to equip that to player 2, armament card spot. End the turn, and one more time. Equip player 3 with an armament card. Okay. So now we have characters and we have cards, so we are ready to begin play. So let's go ahead. So starting out, player 1 is going to start out. Player 1 is blue. So here we go. Going to first draw because we've been entering the player round. I'm going to draw one of these cards, and nothing really new right now. So we're going to click off that, drop that into my expendable gear deck. And I don't want to use it yet, so let's go ahead and, oh, we forgot to mention something. We are playing with the boss, Thanatos the Reaper. So we did this specifically so that I could explain the fear element. Now if we go into the important factors that people need to understand regarding the bosses, each boss has a particular skill ability that we need to be aware of. So Grim Fear is the Thanatos' ability. So players on the same level as the Reaper move at half speed. So what that means is on the same level. So if you're looking at the board, you're going to have level 1, which you'll see dictated here. Of course, you got, hard to see that, zoom in a little bit. So level 1 is where you're starting. It moves up into here to the staircase when you then enter level 2. And finally, you're going to enter level 3 when you jump across the ravine there, and then to the finish. So when you and the boss are on the same level, you move at half speed. However, note, when the boss is put into the delay period, they're not on the same level. They're not on a level until they reach the player start area, at which point they do enter the course of play, and once the boss is on the level, then you're going to move at half speed. Let's see if I can get this to get up right. Nope, we're just going to leave him laying down. Alright, so we've drawn for that, and we're going to go ahead and explain this play. So let's take the dice, go ahead and roll it. A good roll for the blue. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and move into area 6. I'm going to end blue's turn at this point. Moving on to here. Player 2 is going to draw a card, and good card draw. And we're going to set that down on their mat. Now with that, player 2 is going to roll. Not a great roll for player 2. 3 spaces over. And turn. And then moving on here, again, draw. And we have our first character trait. So attaching the character trait to our character. What this means is we're able to donate all our portion of movement to any entity. So we can either give it to the bad guy, to the boss if I wanted to play dirty, or give it to any other ally. So an interesting card to play. And let's go ahead and move this individual. Another big number. Stop. Alright, back over here. Now that ends the player round, as we have 3 individuals and 3 individuals have moved. Still not going to move. So our boss moves from 1 delay round to 2. And where are we getting the information from? Right here, and the delay. So we have 2 rounds of delay, therefore the boss starts in the 2nd position and then moves up to the next position. And during the chase round, the boss is not yet in play, so we're still not going to move at half speed. And now we have now ended the chase round for this particular, and we need to go into the villains and vigilance round. So here we are going to, in turn order, draw a V&V card. Draw 1, and right out the gate we run into a villain. So we're going to move this villain up here to the tracker area and take a look at what we're going to, come on, place it. There we go. We're going to take a look at how we're going to calculate their health. So here we have a couple things on a villain's card. We have the win, what happens if you win, what happens if you lose. And you can see the battle outcome is going to affect all the allies because we fight as a team, therefore it's going to have an impact to all the allies the same. Defense, 3 points. Health, 2 points per ally, which is what that PA stands for, per ally. And that's important because it's active allies. And this was a strategic item when designing the game, because if you didn't leave this as a variable based on the number of allies, the bosses would be either heavily weighted or under strengthened. So by allowing this to weight to the number of players that are active, you keep it fair whether you have 1 player or 8 players. So in this case we have 3 allies. We have the blue, the red, and the yellow. And we're going to go ahead and calculate it. So simple math, 2 times 3 allies, we're going to have 6 hit points there. So this boss is not this enemy is not particularly strong, but going to be fairly quick. So the agility there of 3. So let's pull up the rule book here real quick to explain a little bit of how this works. So you have, going here, the how to battle card. So as we just determined, you're going to start determining the villain's health. Count the number of active allies and multiply the number of points per the total HP. So if the ally count is 4 and 2, you're going to have a total HP of 8. And first you have to make a successful strike. Now there's a couple ways to do this. You can use some battle modifiers to help you with this, but ultimately your speed that's determined on your weapon, your armament card, has to be equal to or greater than the agility of the enemy in order to land a successful hit. Okay, so let's look at that. So we're on character 1. Right now, you can see my speed on the Sinister Whip is quite fast at +5, but my attack damage is no bonus here on this particular weapon. Although I do get to cause some bleeding, -1 to health for each subsequent attack. So it's a pretty good weapon, and this is not going to have any trouble hitting. Versus, let's take for instance the battle axe. You'll see the speed here is a 2. So the speed at 2 is not going to help anybody as far as this particular enemy. You're not going to be able to hit because you're going to miss. So how do we know we're going to miss? Because the agility of this villain is 3 points. So with the battle axe is 2, it's not greater than or equal to the 3, therefore it's going to be a miss. But let's say we do hit. So back to our whip, who has the agility to hit. We're going to roll the dice to determine what our attack value is going to be. So you'll see this also in the rule book here of how much damage you inflict. So add your equipment damage plus the attack roll, and then the value is whatever the attack is greater than the defense. So put it simply, let's use an example. Let's go ahead and attack, in fact. So we'll do for a roll for attack a 1. That's not going to get us very far. So we have a successful strike, but our attack value is 1 plus 0, so 1. Now when we look back to the enemy, the defense is 3. So the 1 is not stronger than 3, therefore we don't do any damage to the hit points. But in this particular case, we do have the added benefit of a bleed damage for each subsequent attack. So when we look at this first attack, we were successful to cause bleed damage, but not successful to cause any damage at all to the enemy. So we're going to leave the hit points there at 6, unchanged, and that leads to our player 2 attack. So player 2 is sitting with a weapon that is also quite slow, so we're not going to be able to land an attack here. Now, if you're thinking about the game right now that it's unfortunate we're not being able to attack, it's meant to be that way because we've drawn an enemy right out of the gate. Battle modifiers would help us land successful blows in the future. So there are other ways to slow down the enemy, speed up the ally, or do other damage. So this is where it gets a little interesting. You have to be strategic of when you use your battle modifiers, and we just got unfortunately unlucky with our current attack patterns here. So as neither the battle axe or the other axes here are able to hit, we have essentially not been able to take out this particular enemy. Okay, so we did do 2 damage with the bleed damage, but that's again not going to be successful, so we do have to suffer the consequences here. And everyone is going to lose and move back -2. Okay, so everyone's moving back. So we did not complete that battle. Stop. Okay, so that's one, but we have not yet completed our movement. So blue was the one who drew the siren, and it's now time for red to draw from the V&V deck. Let's see if we get, didn't mean to draw two, put that back, and shuffle that back. So we've drawn our first talisman. This is good. So the talisman we can put to any particular. Now you'll notice the attack is +1, so it's going to be a perpetual increase for the character that we put it onto. And we have to choose who we like to put it on there because it's going to stay with that character. And do a quick tour of the weapons we have. A very weak one might be a good candidate for some additional power. A very strong one may not need additional power because it's going to be kind of slow. And then lastly, another mediocre strong. I think let's just for giggles put it here. We're going to equip that talisman now. We cannot move that without another reason. So back to the next, because we didn't draw an enemy, we're moving on. Here we are. Our third player is going to now draw a battle modifier. So this particular battle modifier, what we have here, is a rapid slash. So this allows you to do roll 2 and divide that number by 2. So it gives you a greater chance of getting a 4 or 3 or that middle of the road when you're looking at 2 dice. Just statistical analysis gives you a better chance of landing a middle of the road attack. So if I needed to guarantee a 3 or 4, this will help me do that. Now all 3 characters have drawn a V&V card, therefore we have ended the V&V round at this point in time. And we're starting back at the player round. So we start again. We draw a card, a team event. Now this team event card, there was another question that came up about this of do all allies roll? And the answer to that is no, unless specifically stated. In this particular case, the individual who drew it, which is player 1 here, is going to roll the die to determine what's going to happen. So a 1 or 2, we're all going to move back -1. A 3 through 6, we're all going to move +2, which will be nice. Let's see. And we have rolled a 6, which means we're all going to move forward 2. So we can discard this if the system will allow me. And move everybody +2. Seems like we just went back 2. For the record, TableTopia is nice, but it can be a little tedious to manage. So doing this by hand and a physical copy is a little bit easier to speed along and manage things. Okay, so that was our movement roll for that, or our card roll. Now it's our movement roll for player 1. Moving 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good one. In the turn of that individual. Now to player 2. Do have of course expendable gear cards we could use, but nothing to use right now. So let's go ahead and draw 1 card. And we've got a trap. So taking shortcuts. How bad is this going to be? We don't have any expendable gear cards to get out of the trap. And our characters are not going to help us in this particular case. Okay. We'll talk about this particular character, Phobius the Bold, in this, because it turned out that was a random draw, but a pretty good one for this boss. Might need it because right now White's trailing behind and they've got a roll on this. So if we 4, we're going back 2 spaces, back to the beginning. And now we're going to discard this trap card. Now movement roll. 3. Okay. That's player 2. And then end the turn there. Player 3. Draw. Repeat dice roll. Good card. Put that away for now. And then get back to our map. 2. That was our third player. Time for the villain to move, or the boss to move rather. There we go. Okay. Boss is now in play. So as the boss is in play, it is on the first level. Therefore, on our next round, everybody is going to move half, except for Phobius, potentially. So may overcome darkness and fear. Now keep in mind, as we talked about, this particular boss is moving with that darkness and fear. So we would move half, but if we're moving 1, 2, 3, or 4 for a movement roll, Phobius can ignore that. It's a great character for this boss. So boss is in play. That ends the chase round for now. Now again, we're going to go back to the V&V, start drawing. Why is it drawing more than one? Okay, provisional weapon card. So what this means is you can use any equipped or unused armament for a single attack. So I can flip through the armament deck to use a different weapon. And this again is if I wanted to increase my speed or my attack power, I could use whatever weapon for that particular boss or villain that shows up. And that individual's turn is over. Draw 1. And we have another boss, another villain rather. Let's set it right on top of this one. Okay, so what's our stats here? 3 points per ally, 3 times 3, simple math here. We've got a 9. Okay, so semi-strong villain with a defense of 4. That's going to be a pretty tough defeat here. But everyone can hit with an agility of 1 point. So there are very few weapons that don't have any agility at all. So this is a battle we just need to attack and take as much damage as we can. Now, if I recall, it was player number, it's white. So our player here has no battle modifiers, but we certainly can hit. So speed plus 1, we have met the speed of the agility, so we're going to hit. And we have an attack of plus 4, plus or minus. Let's see what we do. That's not great. So a 4 plus 1, so attack of 5. Took a shortcut. So with a defense of 4, attack of 5, we hit for 1 point. It's not great, but it's moving the needle a little bit. In turn. This is our player 3, but keep in mind it's internal order. Every ally will attack. Therefore, let's start with our battle axe. So we are going to get we're going to hit with a speed plus 2, the attack plus 3. And if we hit a roll of 6, we can add 1 to the attack as well. Let's see what we do. 5, not a bad roll. 5 plus the 3, 8. So we're going to attack 4, 4. 8 minus defensive 4 is going to give us 4 hit point damage. Gonna move the needle, but not quite far enough yet. So it leaves us with player 1. So this is our final attack that we can do. And we can use Sinister Whip, which would hit, of course, but it's probable that we want to use a different weapon. So I'm going to use a battle modifier to use this card so we can hit a little harder. So we'll go ahead and throw that one into the discards and use it. So let's say we'll go ahead and use this card here. It's got a +4 attack. So it's pretty good roll here. Let's see if we're able to overcome. And nope, I don't believe we did. So we've got a 4 and we got a 2. So we're striking out here. Oh, wait, we had a +1 that we didn't take advantage of. Still not going to get us there, but a +1 from the power bank from before. And then we took out 2 damage. So unfortunately, we were right on top of it and didn't quite get there. So loss results. We could go back -3 or -1. We'll see what happens here. And -1. That's good. So everybody rolls back again, and looks like the individual here is going to die. Well, I'll tell you that the B&B deck can be punishing or can be easier. So if you find that you're rolling right along through it, there's a hard setting where you just simply add 1 defense to all the enemies, and that will make it just that much harder to get them out. But what you find is pretty well balanced in that those unfortunate 2-1 rolls didn't allow us to overtake the enemy there. But in general, we would have been able to, with a better roll, it shouldn't have been as much of a problem. But you're going to run into that. And let's see, was that our final? Now we got one more roll to go. Alright, so we're going to end that turn. And red was the one who drew the Minotaur. And then yellow. So yellow has a chance to draw. Here we go. Speed up. So again, we can use these on any allies, so it's or the enemy for that matter. So if we're playing the Civil Warfare deck and we want to make it play a little dirty, we can do that, of course. But in this case, we're all working together, so we'll try not to hurt ourselves. But just know that you don't have to use it only on yourself, you can use it on your allies as well. And that's our 3 characters moved over, so it's time to move into the player round. Shifting on, player round 1. And you'll find this goes faster. I've played many of these rounds. You generally play with 4 individuals or 3 individuals. This expansion will last you about maybe 30 to 45 minutes. It'll take longer, of course, in the base game, but not significantly longer, especially as you get more accustomed to the drawing. But as it takes longer here in the virtual world, it's because I'm having to open up, click, draw. Whereas if it's in physical copy, you're just grabbing the cards, and it's much faster to move along. So don't let the time here of 35 minutes right now. We haven't hardly gotten through level 1. That's fully based on trying to explain at the same time looking at the cards. So your standard playtime with 4 individuals should be close to 45 minutes at a max. Okay, let's see, what did we just do? Alright, no draw. That's good. Click over. Could use that a little later. Back over here. And moving forward. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next character. So, also in a physical copy, you don't have to switch turns. card. Final Strike. This good card to explain something again. If overrun by the peril. So for instance, let's say on this next move, if this white character doesn't go anywhere, the Venata is going to move 4 spaces. So it's going to move here. It's not going to stop after he runs over an individual. It's going to keep on going for his entire 4 spaces, unless there's a card like this that is played to slow its advance. But in general, the peril will not be impacted by overrunning allies. It just keep on going, and any ally in its path is going to be run over. So let's say I had an ally here, and the peril moves. It's going to move 4 times each time, so it's going to take out this individual, and then still land here. So it does not matter that there are 2 individuals in its path. So keep that in mind. You can also not impact the peril when it's not in play. So don't think that you can take it back 2 spaces or impair the spaces if it's in the peril approach, because it's not yet in play. Okay, move this. It's either here or here. It doesn't matter. So we will put this card away for now. Might be able to use it here in a minute. And before he gets killed, I'm going to go ahead and transfer this card to again, it's easier to move things by hand and not have to worry about shifting this computer screen. So let's move it over here so this individual has it. So we'll trade that card over. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll for movement. 6, good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's getting away a little bit. Now keep in mind, the peril is in play, so we're not going to move quite 6. So with the movement roll 4 there, we only get actually a movement of 3. So 6 divided by 2, 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 rather. End turn there. The last movement, another trap. So on the next movement, not this one, but we'll go ahead and move it anyway. We'll move everybody back so we don't forget. But there would be a way to track that. This would be where a good place for these tracker spaces here. We could say on the next movement, as a reminder, we could drag this card over here and say on the next movement we're going to have 1 left. So that's what these little spaces are for, with the countdowns. So in any way that you want to remind yourself to use it, that's going to be a helpful thing for you. But we go ahead and take some complexity out of this for now. Move our little green guy back over here. Okay, so we have gone with all 3 players. No, not quite yet. Our yellow person is going to roll. Move at half speed, so they're not going very far, but a total movement of 1 right now. So you can see this fear and darkness can have a significant impact to the movement of play. Okay, so that was the play around, and now here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how do we know to move 4? Speed is 4 spaces. Now we're going to be, again, entering the B&B round. So we'll start with player blue. Draw a card. Acidic Assault. Damage held by -1 and reduced defenses -1 for the battle duration. So if you get a really strong defense enemy, not a bad idea to use this to help out that enemy's reduction. Turn. Player 2 goes here. And we have our first wraith. So we'll try to set it down if it'll let us. Okay. First by, again, setting our total health. So 2 points per ally. Easy math here. Excuse me. That's 6. Very light defense at 1 point, and very high agility, so very hard to hit, but very weak at the same time. The good news for us is the outcome is going to be pretty much the same because we're already experiencing that. Now the question might come into play of, do we stack that? So if we're already in fear mode, do we have double fear? I would say yes. So shouldn't lose here. So let's start. We've got red. Red's number 2. We've got no talismans there, nothing to hit it with. And we got to speed up. So the agility of this particular ghoul is 5. Therefore, the only thing that we can hit it with is player 1. But battle modifiers can be used anytime during battle. So player 2 can use the acidic assault of player 1. So let's do that. We'll drop that on the enemy. Reduce its defenses by -1. And also hit for 1. But that's all we can do because this particular character is not fast enough to get there. It's attack number 1. Attack number 2, going to yellow. We have a speed up. Speed of +2, we're still not going to get anywhere close to the 5 necessary, so we're not going to waste our speed up. And we're not going to try to use any of these other items here. So player number 2 is unable to attack, to hit a successful strike. And then for player number 1, this individual can hit with a speed of 5. We can get a good roll here and take out the enemy. So with a defense of currently 0 because of the acidic assault, all we need to do is hit for, well, 5, which is going to be somewhat unfortunate. So we've got a 4. Now, let's take in consideration something else here, folks. Expendable gear does not have the same limitation as these. So, what do we mean by that? Look at my hand here. We've got a +2, +2, -2, adjust the dice. This can be used during the battle round. So what we're going to do is use this and adjust that 4 into a 6. That 4 turning into a 6 is going to give us all we need to take out this particular enemy. So our win-lose pile goes a little bit better. This is quite difficult to move this over. So with that, we advance +2 spaces. As this is a win effect, our movement, this is not a movement roll, this is an outcome roll, therefore we're going to go ahead and move the full 2 spaces, even though we're technically in fear. So everybody moves the +2 victory spaces. And that leaves, that was red who drew that. So red's done. That leaves only yellow left to go. So we're going to draw one more V&V card and see what we get. Oh, did not mean to do that. Well, that's fun. If there's a way to put these back. Hey, there is. Okay, good. Okay, focus strike. Now here, this is a good one. So what this means is, remember, you have, for a villain, you have defense, speed, and health. So really, these battle modifiers are going to really impact one of those three. In this case, the focus strike is going to penetrate defenses here, guys. So read the card if you're getting any questions. Penetrate defenses on a successful strike if you roll a 1 or 2. So define a successful strike again. Successful strike is when your agility meets that of the villain, or meets or exceeds. There are other ways to hit a successful strike, such as another battle modifier that might override and say you have a successful strike. There are some cards that do that. So this is a good one to have. And now we're topping up on player 3, so there's not much more space here, but we can always gift these to another player to hold. So with 3 players, we can hold up to 3 of these modifiers at any point in time. Talismans. There are no limit to talismans, as there are also no limit to character traits. Now that leaves the end of the villains and vigilance round. Catching up now. So back to player round. Draw 1. Trap Avoidance, a good card to have. Drop it into our back to roll. Rolling 3, but moving 2. I'm going to divide by 2 and round up. We're still on level 1, unfortunately. Alright, end the turn there. Yes. Draw. And fight back. Good card. So this would allow us, if we get overrun, a chance to live through it. Now we're going to go back over here. Roll. 5. Okay. Unfortunately, we rolled 1 too many to get the benefit of that, so we're going to be moving 3. 5 divided by 2, round up. Okay. End the turn. Yellow's turn. We've got a repeat dice roll if need be. And let's draw a card. Double or nothing. Another card that keeps people baffled. But it shouldn't. Okay, folks, again, just keep it simple. Double or nothing. So remember, expendable gear cards are going to be affecting your movement. In this case, if you hit the 1, 2, 3, you're going to double your movement, but you're still going to roll again for the next round for your actual movement. 4, 5, or 6, you're going to hit nothing. Now we've got a repeat dice roll card here, so I'm going to take the gamble. Go ahead and use it. See where we land. So I'm rolling not for movement here, but for the actual card itself. And on a 5, that's not good. So let's go ahead and use our repeat dice roll and see if we can change the odds here. Okay, so we're going to roll one more time. Get number 2. Alright, sure enough, that was worth it. So now with this next roll, we're going to double that. It could be a 6, which is going to get us a 12 divided by 2 because of the fear. Or it could be a little low number that's not going to help us out very much. Guess we'll see. Movement roll coming up. Wow, alright, good roll. So 6, we double that from our card we just made, and we're going to move entirety of 6 because the Tornado is going to slow us down by half. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. A good escape roll there. Now with that being the end of the turn of the third ally, we're going to move the barrel. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, back into the V&V deck. Draw, Thunderous Blow. May reduce defenses for the entire battle. Again, a great card to have for those really tough enemies that have high defense levels. That was player 1. We're going to place that down. This is a battle modifier. And end the turn. Draw 1. Provisional Weapon. We saw that card before. Great card to have on hand. There's only 2 of those in the deck, so don't get too greedy with them. And in the turn, player 3, draw. Alright, defensive posturing. Let's talk about this one. May deflect the effects of loss for any single ally if you roll 4, 5, or 6. So what does that mean? What are the effects of loss? Well, remember we felt those. So the effects of loss are here. What happens if you lose? So this particular player can use this card to either help themselves or another ally if we were to lose a battle. So you can deflect that if successful and not have the loss effects. Okay, so in our hand, we're going to place that down. No, we're not. We're going to give that to another player. Because we can do that, right? We can give, as long as we have space for them. Alright, and that's the end of the V&V round. No fights on that one. Let's pull that back up. Reset our camera. Alright, draw. Diversion, good card. Slows the M1 in peril by 1. Go ahead and drop it on them, slow them down. So we can just go ahead and set them back up, folks, so you don't got to wait until the turn. In this particular case, you can use it anytime, therefore we can use it now and slow them down and take it back 1. It's going to be the same effect as them moving forward. Okay, and then roll. Unfortunately, we're still in the same level, so from here we're going to move at half speed, taking us up to the 2. But now, if I'm able to roll before he gets up here, which looks like I might be able to, my blue character is going to move pretty quickly. Player 2. There we go. Let's pull some card here. Draw, +1, -1. Always a good thing to have. Set it down. Okay. And give us a roll here. Give us a 1, 2, 3. Give us a 4. That'd be a good one to have. Ah, good. So with a 4, we don't have to be impacted by that. So he gets the full 4 movement roll. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are a couple other cards in the deck, such as a torch or a lantern, that will help you do that as well. In the turn, yellow's turn. We're going to draw a card. And another gamble. Why not? Alright, so we can guarantee +1 space, or we can roll to see what happens for chance at 6. Why not? Feeling lucky. And we didn't get lucky. But we did, didn't we? So we can use this +1, -1 to double that up. And by the way, using that, we're able to successfully achieve that. So we rolled a 6 in this case. So we get to move +6 spaces. But folks, keep in mind, there's also other things that we can look at, such as our character trait. So on your turn, you may do all or a portion of your movement to any entity. So here we go. This character used this portion, and what we're going to do is take that +6, add it to whatever we roll here. Wow, another 12. We're going to move half, of course, but we have a total of 6 here. So that'd be the 6 for the roll, plus a 6 on the card, divided by 2. And we're going to go ahead and roll it out. I'll take 3. 1, 2, 3, put them up here. And give 3 more to this fellow. One, 2, and 3. So we split it and move everybody up a little bit. So these two folks should be able to start getting ahead a little bit, as the peril is not going to be impacting them on that particular level. So 5. False movement. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he's not too far behind at all this whole time. I think he's going to trail, and if anybody starts to roll low numbers, we're going to be in trouble. Let's see. V and V. End the turn. Draw 1. I said 1. Drew 2 anyway. Shuffle that out. The Hydra. This is probably one of the tougher bosses here. So let's see what we do here. These cards don't like me. Alright, moving on. So, 4 points per ally. So we've got 3 active allies right now. So this individual is going to get a whopping total of 12 hit points for 3 allies to take it out. It's going to be tough. And let's see, we've got 3 agility points and 3 points of defense. So, it's also going to look at the win and loss elements to see, do we want to use our high cards? Because some of these aren't so bad, we might want to take a loss. In this case, we want to win. So we can loot 1 discarded gear card from the discovery deck, or we can move +3, and each ally is going to get this option. So we get a total of 9 movement, or 3 discarded gear cards. So starting with blue, who drew this, we have a Thunderstrike card, which is going to reduce it for a battle. So let's go ahead and use that and see what happens. Alright, let's see. No, we don't do that. 6. 6 is good. That means we're going to take defenses down by 2 for the battle. That's fantastic. Okay, so come up here. And this is the first time we've seen this, but it's important to show. Villain adjustments for the battle. Defense -2. So that leaves defense at 1. Okay. So now that we have this tracked and we're looking at it, let's keep it up. And you can use this if you need to. I've gotten accustomed to it, so I don't use it. But if you want to track the active allies and make it simple, you can always use these little square cubes that we've attached for you all. So feel free to use the trackers as you like. Alright, so let's attack. We've got a Sinister Whip, speed of +5 we're going to hit, and then we're going to bleeding for all the after. So let's give that a shot and see what happens. Let's see if we have anything to help me with, though. Nah, we're okay. So let's attack. 1. What a pathetic attack. So we don't hurt him at all. So even with a defense of 1, nullifies that. But we'll take -1 for each subsequent attack. That's going to be trouble. In the turn, red character 2. The provisional weapon right now we're not going to use. We're going to use his strong attack because the speed is a little bit slow here. So we might actually have to use something here. And we do. So even with player number 3's speed up card, we're not going to be able to get there fast enough. So we're going to have to use a provisional weapon. And let's say we'll use the... No, I'm not going to use that one. Like, what do we want to use? Let's go up to armament cards. Sure, let's see if we can use this one. Alright, we'll take this one for example. So our speed sufficient, attacks +2, and if we hit a roll of 1, let's hope we don't do that, we will be able to reduce its defense down to 0. So let's roll and see what happens. A 2. And again, that's not going to help us very much because the attack power is 2 on here, so that's going to hit us for 4. 4 minus the 1 defense. We're going to take him up to 3 plus the 1 from the bleeding from the beginning attack. So keep in mind we do have one of the impacts of this weapon is -1 health for each of the subsequent attacks. So in the turn there, after we discard that provisional weapon usage. Let's see where we land. So right now, player 3 doesn't have enough speed to attack, but what did we talk about with the cards? We have a +3, we can use our speed up in order to attack and make a successful hit. So we're going to use this and try everything we can to win this one out. So now we're able to hit with an attack of 3, and we can add +1 to attack with a 6. Let's see where we land. Okay, a 3 plus 3 plus the 1. So we've got a 7 right now. Alright, let's see if that's enough. I'm not so sure it is. So let's take 1 away from the... No, we're not even close. So we take him down to 4, that's our bleeding damage, and then we take him down to 3, and we lose yet again. And just a couple rough rolls. Alright, let's see. Nope. What is our damage going to be? And that's not good, is it? -4. Everybody's going back quite a bit. You'll notice we're not moving at half speed here because that was a punishment and a reward for these, as I mentioned before. We move at the full speed. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're going the same place. Okay. So that's still the beginning. We got one more to go. Here we go. Draw a card, any card. Piercing thrust. Here's where we can penetrate defenses on a successful strike. I'm going to drop that in here. And turn. And hold up. Battle modifier, sure shot. This is a good one to have. So this is going to guarantee a successful strike for 1 attack. Don't overuse these cards. They do not come up often. But they're great for very strong weapons. So if you use a strong one that's very slow on a quick enemy or on a strong enemy, you can really take advantage of that. All right, that ends the V&V attack. Now just back to square one. Draw a lunchbox. All right, everybody goes hungry. there, so we're in trouble. So we're going to move 2. 1 and the 2. And that's troublesome. Let's go ahead and use this. So we'll add 1 to our movement for 2 rounds. So we're going to use our tracker again. So for 2 rounds, we're going to use it for the 1 round, and that leaves us 1 there. And that will get us out of this particular landing zone. But let's see, we'll pull that over here so we remember what it is. Okay. Number 2. Team event. Alright. Here is where we're going to either choose a team or solo. This is an option. So this particular character number 2, can choose everyone to move forward 1 or moving +3. We're going to go ahead and say, you know what, let's move everybody +1 so we don't get impacted by the delay. It's all well and good, but we got there. So you're going to, unfortunately, pass in this next turn, but your sacrifice will be worthwhile. Okay, let's roll and see what happens. A 1. That was unhelpful. Okay. And you can end your turn there. Civil War. All active allies must roll the dice. So here is one of those examples where everyone actually will roll because it tells everyone to roll. So start with this player. 1. -1. And that was yellow. Player 2, blue. No effect. Player 3, white. 3, going back 1. So long, white. Okay. Now, time for the barrel to advance. 1, 2, 3. But here's the kicker. Technically, that barrel will continue to advance, but we have a card here that we're going to use. If an ally is caught by the barrel, immediately slow its advance by -2. So we're going to use that card, and the movement would continue up to here, but it didn't reach there. We used it in time, so we're going to stop that. And before we continue moving as well, we're going to try this fight back card too. Let's see if we can not die. May survive and move +2 with a 5 or 6. So let's give it a shot. And we're getting lucky today. So not only did we push it back 2 spaces from here, from its final move rather, we're also going to go ahead and advance 2 spaces. Okay. So confused. Okay. Now, back to the V&V round. Let's do that. In the turn, bad guys moved, everyone's moved. Let's see if we get any bad guys here. First adjust the dice specifically for the V&V deck. So these cards cannot be used in the normal course of play, but they can be used during battles. turn. Got it. Thank you. And rage attack. So we're just going to give additional damage. So we're starting to power up here. So you see we should be able to win the next couple battles with these. Just a couple items here. And turn me there. And a berserker. This gives you it's kind of like your double or nothing card. You can do double attack or no attack. So if we're in a lost position and we want to take a gamble to see if maybe, just maybe, we can get there, we can use this card to do so. Let's see who's got some space. You got some space. Okay. End of the VMV. Draw Antivenom. Good card for sometimes. Six, because we're not on the same level. We're gonna get all of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that turn. Your turn. Let's get to the place we need to go. Low risk gamble. Why not? Four. Well, that sucks. I think we used this card already. And we used you now. Okay. Wait a minute, what happened? I get back one. Never gonna advance this guy. I'll move him back in a minute. 5, and that's one too many. So movement rolls, and we've cut in half. So we got 1, 2, and 3. Then we gotta go back 1. So like we're right there. In that turn. Ooh, forgot my lunchbox. Okay. And draw. Climbing rope. I think it's a good time to go ahead and use that. +1 space for 3 rounds. Two residual. Take it up 1. And my 3. 1, 2, and 3. Bad guy move. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not quite on the same level yet. That's fortunate. And the turn. Alright, folks. So this is another talisman. So we can drop this on any player. But given the impact of this, I think it makes a lot of sense to leave it on this individual here. So we'll go ahead and equip that talisman. Turn. Got it. Got it. Draw Y. Alright, we've got another baddie. Alright, 5 defense points, 3 health, 1 agility points per ally. So 3, we're going to go up to 12. And 5 defense points. So we can do a couple things here. This is a good time to excuse me, to use a piercing thrust here. So let's use that. Got enough speed to hit him because he's a slow guy. So what can we do here? Attack +4. Using a rage attack +2 if need be. Let's see what our attack value is going to be. 4 plus the 4. Not too bad. We'll take it for a total of 8 hit points as we bypass those defenses there. Alright, let's get down here and take it down to 8. Okay. So that's a pretty solid attack. We'll just leave it at that. Red went first. Red drew the card. Yellow. Here we go. Got a sure shot. We won't miss. A focus strike, which would penetrate defenses. Or a rapid slash for a good average number. Let's go ahead and use this and see what we do. Okay. So we're going to roll 2 of them this time. I wonder if I can chain these things or not. Nope. Oh, shoot. Well, 5 by 2. Rolling up to 3. So we did okay on that. So 3 plus the 4 plus the 3 more. Alright. 7, not too terrible. But do we want to bypass this? No, let's take it down. So with defenses here of 5. Ooh, wait. I did too many last time. My math was wrong. No, it wasn't. Bypass defenses. Alright, 7. We'll take him down to the 2 here. Alright, now that leaves 2 attack left to go. Need be, we can bypass that defense. So we have here, can attack for the +2. We've got a +2 card on the character 2. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we attack here. 3. That's going to do nothing. So we can adjust it up to a 5, but still do nothing because of the defense. Or we can see about using this. Let's see about let's see if we can get this a 1 or 2. A 2, we can get right through those defenses and attack for 3. So that worked out pretty well. So following back up on that, we use this card so that it can penetrate defenses on a successful strike. If you roll 1 or 2, we just rolled a 2 with that. So we have successfully defeated the ogre. Win, allies advance 2 spaces. Lose, that would be rough. Discard all your gear or move -2. Stop it. Okay. Alright. 4. There we go. We need to draw one more time here. +1, -1. Alright. back to turn 1. So we're going to go ahead and call it here, guys. I think you get the gist of how this works. So you're going to use that. You're going to balance everything out, and then that's how the V&V works. I assure you, this will move faster when you're playing in a physical copy. And you're not explaining everything as you go along. But I hope you enjoyed. Hope you didn't watch an hour and 20 minutes of it. But it is time for this to stop recording, and I'll finish this up offline. Thanks for watching.